Today, we're talking about Sundar Pichai. Now, his story is fascinating because he became the CEO of Google not by inventing some brand new thing, but by perfecting everything he touched. It's a story that really makes you rethink what a tech visionary even is.
All right, let's just jump right in with something that might blow your mind. Did you know that back in 2014, Microsoft actually wanted to make Sundar Pichai its CEO? Yeah, they tried to poach him straight from Google for the top job.
So what did Google do? Well, to stop him from leaving, they threw an absolutely insane offer on the table. We're talking a stock package worth around 370 crore rupees. That just shows you how valuable he was to them, right? They absolutely could not lose him.
And that brings up this huge paradox, doesn't it? I mean, when you think of a tech leader, you probably picture someone like a Zuckerberg or a Gates, the college dropout founder. Pichai wasn't that at all. He wasn't a founder, he wasn't really an inventor, and get this, he was even kind of skeptical of Google at first. So what made this guy so incredibly valuable?
Well, to understand that, we've got to go back. The answer isn't in some Silicon Valley garage. It starts halfway across the world on let's say, a much more deliberate journey.
So if you look at his early life, it's pretty methodical, almost traditional, right? I mean, born in India, goes to IIT, then Stanford, then works at McKinsey. There is no started in a garage story here. This is the classic path of a top performer. And you could say this was really the perfect training ground for what he would become, a master executor.
And he was so cautious, in fact, that he once told a friend, "Don't join Google. That company is going to fail." You have to remember, this was just after the dot-com bubble had burst. Everybody was spooked, and he was super skeptical that any of these internet companies were going to last.
So what happened? Obviously, something changed his mind. He did end up joining Google in 2004, and almost right away, he started proving just how valuable he was, racking up one major win after another.
And when you look at his time at Google, you can really break it down into 4 key projects that he spearheaded. These became the absolute pillars of the company's power. It all started with something you might not even remember, the Google Toolbar.
But his first really huge bet was on building a new web browser. Now, when he'd pitched the idea for Google Chrome to take on Microsoft's Internet Explorer, which was a monster at the time, his own manager shot him down. Just flat out said, "Nope, it's pointless. We'll never win."
But here's the thing about Pichai. He didn't just give up. He actually went over his manager's head straight to the founders, Larry and Sergey. And he had this brilliant, simple 2-step plan. Step 1, make a browser that's just way, way better for the user. Faster, simpler, cleaner. Step 2, make it the absolute favorite of web developers. And you know what? It worked. Larry and Sergey said, go for it.
Okay, so after Chrome becomes this huge success, what does he do next? He turns his attention to another one of Microsoft's crown jewels, Microsoft Office. See, Google already had things like Docs and Sheets, and they were free, but they weren't really competing. Pichai's big idea was to center everything around Google Drive. It wasn't just about storing your files online, no. It was about creating this hub where people could work on documents together, in real time. That collaboration piece, that was the absolute game changer.
So then, in 2013, he takes over Android. And what does he do? He starts weaving all of Google's other services, Search, Maps, Chrome, you name it, deep into the fabric of every single phone. He made sure they were front and center, basically the core of the mobile experience for literally billions of people.
So you see the pattern here, right? Chrome, Drive, Android, all of these massive successes point to one single powerful idea about how he operates.
It's this idea of the executor versus the inventor. See, Pichai wasn't really an inventor, creating something totally new out of thin air. He was a master executor. He would take an existing idea and just perfect it. He'd refine it and improve it until it was so good, it was basically unbeatable.
Just think about it for a second. Web browsers existed, cloud storage existed, mobile operating systems existed. He didn't invent any of those categories. He just executed Google's versions of them better than anyone else, so well that they completely took over.
And this incredible, relentless focus on just getting it done, right? It put him on an absolute rocket ship to the top of the company. We're talking one of the fastest rises you'll ever see in the corporate world.
I mean, look at this timeline. It's just meteoric. He starts as VP of Chrome and Apps in 2012. A year later, he adds Android to his plate. The year after that, he's the product chief for everything. And by 2015, boom, he's the CEO of Google. He just kept absorbing more and more responsibility until there was nowhere left to go but the top.
And then came the final move,
In 2019, Google's legendary founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, decided to step away. And who did they trust to run the entire alphabet empire? Not just Google, but everything. They handed the keys to Sundar Pichai.
So, okay, when you look at this whole story, what's the big takeaway here? What's the leadership lesson we can pull from his journey?
It really boils down to this one quote. It doesn't matter if you're first or last, it matters that you provide a better product. And this was a principle that Google's founders deeply believed in. Success isn't about being first to market, it's about being the best in the market. Sundar Pichai is the living embodiment of that idea. He didn't invent the web browser, but he sure as heck built the best one.
And that leaves us with a really interesting question for today's tech world, right? In an age where there are a million new ideas every single day, is it possible that the brilliant executor, the person who can actually turn a good idea into an amazing world-beating product, is maybe even more valuable than the visionary inventor who came up with the idea in the first place? It's a powerful thought to chew on.